Hey guys, had two questions come through both regarding water, so I'm going to tie them in one video, answer them both together. First was from the video on what to eat when I spoke about drinking. It says, you recommended to drink a litre of water first thing in the day, then have breakfast, then follow that with a litre of water later on, then follow that with lunch, and etc. etc. I physically can't drink that much water, especially first thing in the day. I can't get more than a glass in without feeling sick. There's a bit more to that, but I'm just going to clear that up nice and simply. I didn't mean to say a litre. Sometimes I just say words. I'm not even really thinking about what I'm saying. Just substitute litre for glass or a few sips. The whole idea with that video was just to get you to start to recognise the difference between hunger and thirst signals, and that's only to be followed for a week or two until you can get that down. To put that into perspective, there are actually quite a few clients where I recommend actually drinking no water. So there are quite a few conditions, which I can't go into in this video without wasting too much time, where a lot of people are drinking too much water in the first place. Okay, let's just say that. So, you know, I know that I'll go against the grain of a lot of all the health information you'll get off the internet and all your little blogs and things like that, but it's just, if you're interested in that, write in with that and I'll answer that specifically another time. But the short answer to that is listen to your body, just do what you can do, follow that for a week or two, and then, you know, start to modify things back to what your body wants you to do. If you're hungry, eat. If you're thirsty, drink. Okay, that's simple. Now, the second question was on Fukushima in the Pacific. Now, I actually just did this video and it didn't record, so that was awesome. I'm kind of sick of talking, so I'll try to do this a lot quicker than I did it the first time. Number one, if you haven't watched my video on, what was it called? How to Change the World, Welcome to Utopia. Watch that, it'll give you an idea of when you're starting to see things beyond what's actually what you can see. The whole point of that is that I'm going to give you a few ideas now that a lot of people I think will not, something they won't understand, they'll just listen to it and just, you know, it's hippie shit, whatever. Just think, I'm sure you can think of a number of examples where just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. For example, ultraviolet light. It's healthy for us in certain ways, it's bad for us in other ways. You can't see it, but it's there, right? There's a number of examples of that. I'm sure you can think of something that will relate to you. Now, the point of that is that you're going to need to keep that in mind as I go through the video. When I spoke in the Utopia video about expanded consciousness, part of our journey on this planet is that our consciousness is constantly expanding and growing and reaching new realms and dimensions, right? That's what's meant to happen. The reason it doesn't is because of the matrix and a lot of things that I allude to in other videos that just keep it. It does the opposite. It's there to keep you just so confined to beliefs, to dogma, to just a lot of stuff that is just leading you in the complete opposite direction of the whole purpose of your life and experiencing what life is actually meant to be, and just confining you to this one very, very narrow road that most people are walking down. So what I'm going to suggest is, see, my friend, she asked me if I was worried about the Fukushima, you know, the nuclear fallout. Am I worried about how it's affecting the seafood in the ocean? Am I worried about the fact that, you know, one drop of what happens in one part of the world affects the rest of the world, right? So the fact that this radiation is going to eventually spread to and affect the rest of the world. So my answer to that is that the way I explain this to her, and I'll explain to you, is that, like I say in a lot of videos, and I say to myself all the time, and I say to my clients, is that you're either doing something or you're not doing it, right? If I'm doing this video now because I'm doing it. If I wasn't going to do it, I wouldn't be sitting around going, I should do that video, or I would do the video today, but it's cloudy, or it's if that, or but that. Everything after if or but is just an excuse. So I'm doing it. If I wasn't doing it, I'd just be doing something else. So how does that relate to this? The point is that we're here in Australia, right? There's Japan. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but you know, there's America. Realistically, this whole Pacific may already be contaminated or will at some stage be contaminated, right? The thing is, that's a lot of water. You know, what am I going to do? Go and vacuum it out so I can swim in the ocean? It's like, if there's not radiation, awesome. If there is radiation, that's a pretty big thing, right? So like, you know, what am I going to do? It's just let it go. I just do other stuff, concentrate on other stuff, whatever. I think you need to get to a certain stage in life where you understand that the physical component is just a very small component, and also that, you know, even if it killed us, you know, like life isn't this. It doesn't have the finality that a lot of people have the illusion of it being, if that was the right way to say that. You know, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than just the physical reality, but everything that is the way surrounded by is just keeping you into that way of thinking, and that's why you get scared about these sorts of things. So I'm not worried about it because it's not really going to affect me that much. Even if it did get to the stage where it's super radiated and I die, I'm not really that attached to these sorts of things, so it doesn't bother me. I don't have the stress. Therefore, because my internal reality is nice and calm and nice and pretty and all that sort of stuff, so is my external reality. So I hope you get that. If you're living in fear, for example, I think the reason a lot of people are worried about this is because of the stories you're hearing. Now, let's just take a step back and just observe for a second, right? So let's say this is full of radiation. Is that a problem? Yeah, it is. Is it there? Yeah, it is. I'm not going to pretend it's not there, right? But if you are worried about it, and the reason a lot of people are worried about it is because they're hearing stuff on the internet or the reports. There's two things that happen. One is that the media sweeps it under the rug because the Japanese government will pay media to say that it's not a big deal, and the Japanese have a really funny way about them. I like a lot of their culture, but some of it's just a bit, you know, like they won't accept outside help because it's against their, you know, they need to uphold their honour and blah blah blah. So they'll pay media to say that, oh no, it's not really leaking that much. But then, you know, because we have independent media and we've got the internet and things these days, the actual stories can get out, which is actually how much radiation has been leaking into the ocean in the last few years. The thing is, how much of those media reports let you understand about expanded consciousness and things like that, right? I'd say zero. I can't think of any that I've ever heard. All the ones I've ever seen, which isn't much because I don't pay attention to it, is that it's scary, right? It's going to kill everything, we're all going to get cancer in 15 years and blah, blah, blah. So people's consciousness is being regressed, their internal state is being polluted, so they're seeing an externally polluted, they're seeing a polluted external environment, right? I thought this was going to be quicker, but I seem to be waffling again. But you get where I'm going. Now, to tie this in, this is a map of the world, which I already drew on in the last video, but it still looks like a world, right? So this is the world, and this whole region of the Pacific there is polluted with radiation, okay? That's a manifestation of where we're at now. But if we're allowed to grow in our consciousness, this is one realm. What happens is, like a spiral, this comes out into an expanded realm, or not quite a dimension, but a realm. So in that realm, this ocean is pristine, right? It's a world that exists within a world, it's just expanded one. It's just like a spiral, okay? So just remember what I said before about just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, okay? The fact is, as I mentioned in some of the other videos, is that when you get to a certain stage of you know, you're removing yourself from the matrix and you're actually seeing life for what it really is and experiencing it for what it really is, you do actually start to see these things. So beyond that, again, when you expand further, is yet another world and yet another world and yet another. So the main reason that I'm not really worried or stressed about any of this is that you know, I understand the grander scale of life, and it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the earth either, you know. Is it there? Yeah, but like, you know, I scattered my knee the other day, I fell off my skateboard, but it's grown back over and now I've got not a new knee, but you know what I mean? What was a problem is now not a problem, because as life wants to go on and life will handle itself, the earth can handle that. It's not really that big of a deal. The big deal is what we're doing to us. The big deal is the way people are so caught up in the matrix and what they think they're meant to do in life. They're meant to have a job, they're meant to make money, they're meant to progress a career, they're meant to buy a house, they're meant to do all this just shit that you've got no idea how little that stuff matters, right? I could give you a heap of examples, but I want to cut this one as short as I can. So that leads us to things like, you know, consuming, and then to consume we need consumables, we need resources and power, resources to power the blah blah blah. You know what I'm trying to say. And you know, we don't even need nuclear plants in the first place. So what happens when that goes downhill, as it invariably will? You know, it's not so much that we're polluting the earth, it's the fact that we're polluting ourselves. These attitudes that we have towards consuming and resources and things, that is completely removed from what we're meant to be doing with our lives. It's this internal pollution that's far more, it's far worse than this external pollution that we're creating. And And again, one is a reflection of the other, as I said before. What else did I say in the first one? Okay, expanded, yeah. So epigenetics, if you don't know what epigenetics are, basically what that is in vitro, which is when you're in your mother as a fetus growing before you're born. And some research suggests to a certain extent after you're born as well, but basically what epigenetics is it has more of an effect on how we grow, I guess is the word, than our actual DNA. So epigenetics is basically the different DNAs and RNAs that get switched on and off, okay? So if we are born into a very, very hot climate or something like that, to that effect, epigenetics will just flick on certain things that will adapt us better to that environment. We're very adaptable beings. You know, we've gone through more growth. I wouldn't call it evolution because I think we've gone backwards a long way. But we've gone through more growth and more change in the last few hundred years than we have in the last few thousand, right? So epigenetics is constantly switching new things on to make us adapt to the environment that we're about to enter into. So I'm not saying that it's going to make us immune to radiation, at least not just yet. It may in the future. I can't really know those things, but it's just, you know, people are stressing out too much about things that they have no physical control over, okay? So life has ways to deal with these things, and we have ways to deal with these things, whether they're real, whether they're not, whatever. Let's just wrap up then with my contingency plan, which is I'm here on the Gold Coast, on the east coast of Australia. So again, there's Japan. Like, if this is all radiated and I can't go surfing unless I want to get cancer and whatever else, then what I'll do is I'll just move. I love the climate here, I love the water temperature, so I'll just move to the same point on Western Australia, where there's more sharks and everything, but, you know, same climate, same water, but, I mean, you know, as I said before, you know, what affects one part of the world affects the rest, but, you know, that's just going to have less radiation on that side. So that's what I'll do, but again, if people, I just want to make this really clear for people, is that if you just spent more time cleaning out your internal environment, right? Just stop listening to news and just shit like that. Just stop thinking you have to, you know, like I've got friends that have gone back to uni and it's like, they complain that they got no free time, they envy what I get to do, when I get to go surf and get to do this, get to do that, and they go, I wish I had your life, and it's like, they've enrolled into a course that they don't need to do, but they think they need to do it because it's like something they're meant to tick off on this journey through life that we're all supposed to conform to on that, and it's like people are just destroying themselves internally by choice, right? So just stop listening to anything that is telling you what you're meant to do. You know, if you want to, just start listening to your heart more, right? And when you can start to pull yourself out of the matrix and start to see what it is, you'll be able to get further and further out. And then you'll start living more and more of what you're meant to do in this life, and you'll see life for what it's meant to be. And then you'll start to understand why these sort of things don't stress me out at all, because I see where it fits in the grander scheme of things, and I understand how much of my internal state relates to that external state. So, you know, I don't allow any of that information to come in, stress me out, stress out my internal state, and then I start seeing all the negative crap in the world. I understand what's in the world in a physical sense, but it's only a small part of the world, okay? So my internal state, because it's a lot calmer than most people's, my external reality is just pretty good. I really like it. So I just encourage you to start to try to go that way, or at least start to stop listening to so much of the stuff you're listening to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I hope that answered those two questions for you. If you have any further questions regarding that or anything else, feel free to write them in. I'll answer every question that you guys send in. Other than that, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.